My name is Krista. I'm a part of the MyTree support team through a cooperative agreement with the Davey Institute and the U.S. Forest Service. We deliver this academy really as an opportunity to help users unpack the features of the MyTree tools, and we invite as broad an audience as we can. We know that, MyTree is used by practitioners and scientists and educators, stewards and decision makers alike. They all know that assessing the benefits of trees can help inform the work that they do, that all of you do to manage the trees and canopy wherever you are. And very much like trees, we view MyTree as a set of living and flexible tools that are able to grow to accommodate changing environments. And this academy is our way of continuing to seek some new and fresh ways of delivering resources, helping people understand tree benefits and the ways that users can access that through MyTree. So again, we're hoping that this is a format that is highly flexible, can highlight new features, as well as continue to build knowledge around the recurring and fundamental questions that we know users at all levels encounter. So we've had some of you tell us you've worked with MyTree before, and just as many have told us they're brand new. So all of those things are great. We're going to cover a lot of bases through this academy and with each session. So by way of very basic housekeeping, we're going to use this same Teams link each week. And each live session will occur on Wednesdays through June 11th. And the recordings, the video of each session will be available on our website for review at any time, or if you can't make a particular live session. In each session, we're encouraging attendees to go ahead and use that chat window for all of your questions. As time allows, we will actually make every effort to address questions in real time and as we're going. But if we do run out of time to get to all of those questions or to everyone, we will plan to keep this Teams link, this session link open for about 15 minutes following each session for anyone who would like to address a specific question that we didn't get to. And we are asking folks to keep their microphones and cameras off until then. Excuse me, and keep in mind that some of the questions that you have may be addressed in forthcoming sessions. So, again, we'll make every effort to try and make sure that we're, getting everyone's thoughts, and concerns addressed. So, again, many of you know that we will be able to offer certificates of participation and certain CEUs and CFEs for those who are attending our live sessions. Everything those will all be distributed following the end of the academy. So not at the end of each session, but once we've wrapped up in the middle of June, we'll be able to process those for everyone. There is for this academy a dedicated web page right on the MyTree website. You can reach it from the link on our homepage at mytreetools.org, and we can likely throw that link right into the chat window today for those who want to take a look. It includes the academy schedule. It'll cover topics and tools that we're going to look at for each week, and it will be updated as we go along with slides from presenters. There will be worksheets for practicing and exercises so that you can work with the tools at home and refresh any of the things that we've covered in a given week. It will also be where we post the links for each recording. Keep in mind that the course of the academy will include an opportunity to join us for some informal office hours. The first one is actually going to be tomorrow, May 8th, but we hold them on the second Thursday of each month, even, outside of the academy. So all users are welcome to join those at any time. We want to acknowledge that we know we have a number of international users joining us, and we're really glad you're able to be here. Please do keep in mind that we specifically will be covering MyTree tools, a number of them that use data that's currently only available for the United States locations. We will review later in this hour today, which tools those refer to, what that includes. Participants are always welcome to reach out with questions at our support email, which is that info@itreetools.org address. Basically, if you send one of your questions or if you have some interesting insight about iTree, if you use that email, you're likely going to see one of us on the other end. We're a small but mighty team, so always keep that handy. And today, we're basically going to begin with an overview of how iTree calculates and estimates benefits that trees provide everywhere, from carbon storage to air pollution mitigation and avoided stormwater runoff. We're going to peek a little bit at ways to think about the results that you will be seeing from working with iTree and as you work to apply them to your project goals. So before we finish today, we will also show you how to find some helpful resources on our website, including some methodology documentation for all of these tools and some of the questions we get asked most frequently. And first, what we want to do is take a minute to introduce this team. So hello again, I'm Krista Heinlein. I'm based in Philadelphia. And I want to give a shout out to Jason Henning, who will also be doing a lot of our demonstrations and presentations. Research forester, also based out of Philadelphia. He helps us make sure iTree Eco in particular stays in line. We also have Anna Castillo here, who is a natural resource specialist based out of Knoxville. If you connected with iTree through LinkedIn or our support email, you've seen Anna at work for sure. And sorry about that. That was my jam. But I also want to point out Jay Hepler is here, and she is also a natural resource specialist who works on the Cool Air and the Hydro Research Suite. She's based out of Syracuse, New York. To be sure, we also want to acknowledge that this team is supported by some outstanding scientists and IT developers at both the Forest Service and the Davey Institute. Their efforts are what keep us up to date and running smoothly. So we definitely could not do this without them. Some of them may be here in the background today. And we always love having them along. But before I hand off today's program, Anna's going to get us started in a few minutes. We're actually fortunate to get a quick hello this morning from our Forest Service partners and the Davey Institute. So without further ado, I'd like to warmly welcome Mark Majeski. He's a career forester and has been our intrepid guide with the Forest Inventory and Analysis Program. He's based in Minnesota. And thanks again for being able to be here, Mark. It's good to see you. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, good afternoon. Thanks for showing up today. I mean, I know your time is very valuable, and I thank you for investing it with us here today. My name is Mark Majeski. I coordinate the operations side of the FIA's urban portfolio. So kind of two pieces to that puzzle, thinking like long-term plot monitoring, that's our urban FIA program. And then think of a cool suite of tools to help us manage our urban trees, iTree. My colleague, Corey Bassett, she helps run helps provide the scientific direction for the portfolio. I handle the operations side and she'll handle the science side. And for those of you that are not aware of the Forest Inventory Analysis Program, it's been around for about 100 or so years, tasked by Congress to report on and monitor both the extent and the state of the nation's forests. Public land, private land, your backyard, my backyard, a continuous program throughout the entire United States, kind of following and monitoring the state of the nation's forests. So iTree lives within the iTree program, this iTree partnership lives within FIA. FIA lives within the research and development branch of the U.S. Forest Service. And that's the R&D is just like one of 3 deputy areas underneath the Forest Service. So think of like iTree is in R&D, R&D is in the Forest Service. And one of the biggest things about iTree, we're always evolving this continuous evolution based on your feedback. We had a couple of town halls 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, all that feedback from that period has kind of been moved into what you see in iTree today. So we're all about this continuous feedback, continuous improvement. So thank you for everything you shared with us in the past. And please share your feedback even during this presentation as well as the next 5. Before I pass it off to Scott, I just want to really point out that this is a true partnership. That it's a public-private relationship, public-private partnership. The U.S. Forest Service and the Davy Tree Export Company coming together to share resources, share expertise. Davy matches us 1-for-1 for the investment that I make on the Forest Service side. It's not too often to see that kind of relationship. It's a long-standing relationship. And without this relationship, without our relationship with Davy, there would be no iTree. This iTree partnership, this iTree program that you're all used to using would not be possible without this relationship. So thank you all for showing up today. And Scott, I'll pass it off to you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Mark. I appreciate you taking the time to welcome everybody here. And yeah, on behalf of Davy and the Davy team here and the partnership between us and the Forest Service, I would also like to welcome everybody. We got a great turnout today. It looks like almost 300 people, and I am seeing, as Krista said, people from all over the US, North America. I'm seeing Philippines, I'm seeing Sweden, I'm seeing all kinds of things. So welcome everybody, whether it's morning, evening, wherever you are. We appreciate you being here. So if you are new to Davy Tree or have not heard of Davy Tree, we are one of the oldest and largest tree care companies in the world. For over 145 years now, if you can believe it, we've focused on all manners of arboriculture, urban forests, urban forestry, and environmental consulting. So we do it all, from managing an urban canopy to supporting large-scale ecosystem restoration projects. Our mission at Davy has always been to protect and enhance the green spaces that connect communities and improve quality of life. And of course, today, as you all know, and probably for reasons why you are here today, managing urban forests go well beyond just planting and pruning trees. We need, as Krista mentioned right at the top of the hour here, we need data-driven tools that help us measure the real value of community forests. Tools that empower decision makers, residents, and advocates alike to see the tangible benefits that trees provide. Which of course leads us to why we're here today, and that is iTree. And by way of a little history here, it was about, if you can believe it, nearly 20 years ago when the Forest Service approached Davy Tree to help them deliver what was then the emerging science around ecosystem services quantification. And that partnership led to iTree and the release of the first version of iTree in 2006. And Mark talked a little bit there about the feedback we received from users. And I will tell you, if you were one of those early adopters of iTree back in 2006, it was not an easy row to hoe. It was a little clunky. It took some serious training. These were all desktop software programs. Installation was tough. Just getting through it was tough, I will tell you. And it was really geared towards, at that time, what we thought was our main audience, which were municipal foresters. That first generation of users went above and beyond. They stuck with it, with iTree. They provided that feedback that Mark talked about. The users that came after them continued to provide us feedback. And that really helped us evolve over the last 10, 15 years. To evolve iTree in what it is today. And I will tell you that today, I think, speaking on behalf of the team and our community users, iTree is really considered the global standard for measuring benefits of trees anywhere, whether in the US or across the world. We have over 1 million users representing not just foresters now, but planners, arborists, educators, homeowners, and students, to just name a few of our user groups. And I think more importantly than just our user group, how we've grown, how people are using, what iTree has really done is change the conversation about how we think and talk about trees. No longer are trees just thought about these amenities that are nice to have when times are good. But now we really think about trees as being vital components of our community infrastructure. We have the language, we have the science to describe that and talk about it. So the iTree partnership and its growing user community are not just advocating for trees, I don't think, although that's certainly part of it. But we are equipping people everywhere wherever you are, with the knowledge and tools to act. And that is to be able to act on, what I think are some of our most pressing and challenging issues today, whether that's public health, whether that's community resilience, or simply that idea that everyone should have access to the benefits of trees. That's where iTree can help you get to and help you understand. So with that, again, I welcome you all. Thank you for taking this little journey with us in the weeks ahead. And just to round out our introductions here, I want to invite Dana Coelho, who is a longtime partner and user of iTree, friend of iTree. She is the National Program Manager for the Urban and Community Forestry Program with the Forest Service. And Dana, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Mark. Yeah, it's interesting listening to these reflections and realizing that I too have been around and supporting and or using iTree since about the beginning. I first joined the U.S. Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry team fresh out of graduate school in 2007 in Washington, D.C. Since then, I've had opportunities to work at the national scale. I've worked a little bit internationally, west-wide, at the state of Colorado regionally, and now I've blown back up to the national scale. And what I can say is that iTree is the foundation for our ability to quantify the benefits of trees as critical infrastructure in cities and towns. I've seen that from within the Forest Service, working at the state level, and working in the nonprofit sector. Educators use it. It really is, like Scott said, the gold standard and constantly evolving. Our partnership with iTree is from another bucket or pillar, if you will, of the U.S. Forest Service. So Mark is with research and development. I work on, and the Urban and Community Forestry Program is on the state, private, and tribal forestry side, where our mission really is technical and financial assistance to and through state forestry agencies to support work on the ground. My entire career, I've been very supportive of partnership between those two deputy areas. Like any partnership, support ebbs and flows, but it's something that I've seen a tremendous amount of value in, and will do everything in my power as things continue to evolve and get a little crazy over the next few years. I remain committed. The Urban and Community Forestry Program remains committed to this work of the partnership and to the work that all of you are doing out there in the field, because that's the real stuff. It's our job to make that easier and to make that better. So I think that's all I will share for the kickoff, and pass the mic to Anna.
Hi, thanks, Dana. Getting loaded up here. Well, again, my name is Anna Castillo, and I am part of the support team. And just echoing what everyone's saying, it's just exciting to have you all here, to learn about iTree. And from your responses, we've learned a lot of you are brand new. So it's really great. You got to hear a big picture, a little bit about the history and how the iTree program works. And I'll continue that theme here. But first, so we have an understanding of the plan for today. Like I said, I'm going to give an overview of what is the iTree program and help you understand what are some of the results that you can get from using iTree tools, as well as what those tools are. As you'll learn, or maybe you already know, that iTree tools is really a suite of tools of different applications that our developers have designed for our diverse user base. And Jason will then do an introduction of the science behind iTree so that you all have an understanding of how the model was developed and what the different inputs are, and a general understanding of how they interact to produce the results that you get out of the tools. And he'll also do a very brief MyTree demo, which is one of MyTree is our easiest to use tools that you can see how quickly you can get some results with the tree input that you use, and a brief overview of some of the uses that people have used the results from in their community and their work. So again, iTree is about putting U.S. Forest Service urban forest science into the hands of users. So as you've learned, it's a suite of tools that we're designated to calculate the ecosystem services or the benefits of trees. That this idea was started over 20 years ago. And as Scott mentioned, it's evolved from, something you have to put on a CD and install on your computer to something that now anyone can use on their cell phone, on their computer, their iPad, wherever they are in the world. So we've really come a long way in our goal to get this information into into people like you, like your hands, who, as we mentioned, are educators, researchers, and maybe work for government agencies who are dealing with green infrastructure issues and things like that. So that is our driving mission, to provide a platform for you all to use the science in your work in your communities. And all of the science and the models, the model behind iTree, as you'll learn, is all part of the public domain science. So all of the research that has gone into developing these models, as well as the data, is publicly available. So you'll learn where to find those resources on our website as we move through the academy. And also, all of the tools are completely free, as well as this technical support that we provide. So again, the support team, we provide these trainings, as well as we have a video learning library. We have, the YouTube a program, the YouTube channel, where we share like our recordings and things like that, as well as the inbox that you've all have received communications from us. There is a person, usually it's going to be me or Jason or Krista or one of us, behind that inbox, that will answer your questions that you have as you continue to learn about iTree. And if you run into any bumps along the road of your project, we're here to answer those questions. And finally, iTree is continuously improved. So both in the interface and the development of our tools, as you'll see, it's evolved from the U4 model, for those of you who've been with iTree for a long time, to tools like MyTree or iTree Design, that provide a different interface to interact with iTree and get different outputs from the data that you put in. And there's developers work, again, behind the scenes every day to make sure that the tools are up and running, and to incorporate new data or new science as it becomes available. And so most of you are probably already familiar with our website, but we're referenced to a lot of these here is itreetools.org. And just as a final note to say, we've heard a little bit about this super unique partnership that we have with Davey and the U.S. Forest Service as a public-private partnership, but iTree is also a cooperative initiative. So we have all these other partners listed down here who have contributed to either establishing or maintaining and using the iTree results in their work. So some of you may be part of these organizations, and just to recognize that it's really a product of the urban forest community, that we work to make these tools accessible to all. So just real briefly about the iTree vision, is to improve forest and human health and forest and city resiliency through easy to use technology that enhances people, engages people globally in enhancing forest management. So again, just echoing like what Scott and others have said about changing the conversation about the way we think about trees, especially in the places where we work and live. We all love and value these big forests, that national parks and state parks, and that we those types of forests. But really, most of our times is spent in our communities, and increasingly so. In over 80% of people in the United States live in urban areas. They might not think about it that way. That's like, well, I live in a small town, but that is considered still an urban area. And globally, this number is over 50%. So thinking about especially the trees that are found in the communities and where we live, and thinking about how we can provide a data to drive investment and management of trees in urban areas and also rural areas as well. So iTree is applicable in anywhere where there's trees. So, but again, just to connect people with trees. And so now I'm going to go over the iTree framework and what what kind of drives this idea for demonstrating tree value. So across our tools, we try to remember structure, function, and value. So the first step for using any of our tools, it's going to be about thinking about measuring the structure. So that can either be by going out and measuring individual trees, or using a top-down approach. So that is using like aerial imagery or NLCD data if that's available for where you are. And then iTree will then estimate the function of the tree. So what are they doing? Are they, how are they interacting, for example, with the built environment? So iTree will be able to calculate, for example, the rate of carbon sequestration, or it will be able to calculate the amount of pollutants that the trees are taking out. And finally, the tools will provide a monetary value to these things. So it will tell you, for example, how much water is being intercepted by the trees, but give you a monetary value of what it would cost, for example, a municipality to treat that water, were it not for those trees there. So you'll see this again, this overall framework across the different tools as we learn through them through the Academy. And so the benefits that iTree can estimate are related around our 4 core ecosystem services. So the first is carbon dioxide, as I've mentioned. So how much CO2 the trees are taking up from the environment as they live and photosynthesize and store in their biomass, as the trunk and the branches and stuff like that. So it will calculate that the carbon that's taken up in the biomass and translate that into CO2. And that the monetary value associated with that will be related to the social cost of carbon. It will also provide benefits related to air quality. So how much pollutants the trees are taking out, either by directly intercepting some of these pollutants, such as like soot, or through gaseous exchange, and translate that into the monetary value in terms of benefit for public health. So like a reduction in incidence in asthma, for example. And it will also estimate stormwater benefits, primarily related to avoided runoff. So as I mentioned, that is water that otherwise would, be a municipality would have to treat. And finally, energy impact. So how much energy could a homeowner or a business potentially save in heating and cooling costs due to the presence of these trees? So these are what we call, again, our 4 core ecosystem services. And we know there are many more benefits of trees, but these are ones that we have a good validated models, good scientific understanding of them that we can incorporate into iTree, because as we said, this is all about data-driven management and informing decisions with data. So other benefits that are, important, but maybe less harder to put in a monetary value, such as, there's been a lot of research about how trees are important for public health or reducing crime or things like that are just emerging ideas in ecosystem services. So those are, not in iTree, that, and again, not to say that there are benefits associated with trees. We just haven't figured, we in the broader community haven't figured out all the details about how to put a monetary value to those kinds of things. And so now I'm going to do a brief overview of the iTree suite of tools. So as I mentioned, it's a suite of tools that are primarily driven by first iTree Eco. Sorry, my slide here is not popping up. Oh, there you go. Okay, so iTree Eco is what we call our flagship tool. So that is the driving engine behind all of the tools, and you'll see the newest information, the newest data, and go there first. But the counterpoint to that, or not counterpoint, but the consideration to that is that it does have a steeper learning curve than the rest of our tools. So with the ability to customize things, you also can be a little more time intensive to set up a project, for example. So because of that, we're going to save this tool towards the end. Because you might be able to get some of the things that you're looking for outside the results that you're looking for from our other tools. So the next, we kind of group them as our individual tree tools. So those are MyTree, iTree Planting, and iTree Design. So these are tools that you would use if you have individual tree measurements and you can identify the trees, for example. So there will be useful depending on the number of trees or what you're trying to get out of your project. But these are, again, if you have individual tree measurement. And if you don't have those measurements, or you're interested in more in, say, getting an estimate for urban forest canopy cover, we have our canopy tools that are our trees, canopy, and landscape. So those would be the top-down approach using like data layers or imagery to do those estimates. And then finally, we have our utilities, and these are kind of like our accessory tools that our developers have developed again, with feedback from you all and as our user base grows. And I'll highlight iTree Database, which is where users, particularly international users, can contribute data such as pollution or weather data so that they can run an iTree Eco project for their home country. And the iTree API is an example of a service that we've developed to, for example, for say you're a software developer who would like to have these tree benefits, but you kind of want to do it in your own way, or you have a different vision of how you want to see the tree benefits, you can use the service to get those tree benefits in your preferred platform. So super brief, but just to get you started thinking about what tool you might be interested in learning, or what might be the best tool for your goals or your projects that you're looking to do with iTree. And since we do have a lot of international users, I'm going to highlight the tools that are available to use internationally. So that is iTree Eco, MyTree, and iTree Canopy, as well as some of our utilities. So I'll share a link, or maybe someone can put it in the chat about international use of iTree, but there are some limitations. But as I mentioned, iTree can be used internationally, and a lot of people do. That's actually been an exciting growth for iTree. So yeah, do check those out, and we can answer maybe some specifics about using iTree in different situations in the Q&A or later in the chat. But yeah, so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Jason, and he's going to give us an overview of the science behind iTree, so you can kind of have a better understanding of what the results that you get out of iTree are.
Hey,
Thanks,
Jason, while we're
Hopefully-
making this transition, I'm sorry, this is Scott. There's a few people in the chat that are having trouble seeing the slides and the speaker. Although I think for the vast majority, we're doing okay here. Just to point out, there is a view button on the top of your Teams screen, and you may try playing around with that. Gallery mode seems to be working, and if you are having further trouble, you could try logging out and trying to jump back in, I believe. But we're sorry that, yeah, a few of you are not seeing everything we're doing here, and we'll make every effort to fix that for next time around.
Yeah, it's always hard to troubleshoot those, especially when everybody's on a different device and sometimes opening those Teams meetings in your browser. So yeah, don't hesitate to jump off and jump back on. And also, if you have a different device or a different browser, you can try that too. You can always try us on your phone. I know it's not optimal, but if you want to do it for this time, we'll try and straighten it out for next time. But we appreciate everybody letting us know that you're having trouble, and we will do our best to work around that. And as Jay mentioned in the chat, we do record all these, and those will be posted either later today or early tomorrow if you can't see all the slides. But But I'm going to keep this going. I get to talk a little bit about the science of iTree. We're going to get a lot more into doing actual demos the next 4 weeks. So starting next week and then continuing on from there. But we like to start out in the beginning of these academies, giving you a little peek under the hood, so you know a little bit more about what drives the estimates, what drives the results that you're going to get out of iTree. And we like to think that helps inform how you're going to use these tools in the end, and having a better understanding of where these numbers come from really makes you more confident in how you use the results and how you publish it. So how do we go from these measurements of your trees to estimating the benefits of those trees to putting a dollar value on it? So that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about for the rest of the time we have here today. And so how exactly does the model work? And as Anna mentioned, iTree Eco is really our flagship. So that's where all our estimates kind of start from, is that iTree Eco model. iTree Eco is pretty much our hardest to use tool, so we're going to leave that till closer to the end. But it is important to know that that's kind of what's driving everything that you see as far as estimates in the other tools. Anytime you use iTree Eco or any of the iTree tools, you have to tell us some information about your trees. So we're not providing you a general, a general tree in your area provides these benefits. We're telling you about the specific tree or the specific tree canopy that you're telling us you have available to your community. So when we talk about the individual tree tools, these are those bottom-up tools where you actually have to go out and measure some trees. The things you have to provide us, the minimum is DBH, that's diameter breast height. So how wide your tree is at 4.5 feet above the ground, how wide that trunk is, and the species. Those are two key things, two key pieces of data that we need for any of our individual tree tools. Beyond that, if you have more information about your tree, we can provide you with more accurate estimates of those tree benefits. So this includes things like crown measurements. So how tall is your crown? How wide is it? Tree health, how healthy is your tree? That's going to influence how quickly your tree grows and some of the values it provides over time. Is your tree close to any buildings? If you're providing shade for a building, you're going to provide some energy benefits. You won't need to run the air conditioning as much, but we need to know where your tree is in relation to that building to be able to estimate those energy benefits. And another key variable is light availability. So how much sunlight does your tree get? More sunlight, you're going to grow faster. You're going to provide different and more ecosystem services most of the time. So this is kind of the basic tree data that you'll see repeatedly in the tools we're going to talk about over the coming weeks. But how do we go to that from that tree data that you're providing to those ecosystem services? So in iTree Eco, you're going to measure that data on one tree or a bunch of trees, and you're going to enter it into iTree Eco. This is the same as our other individual tree tools. But once we have that data, we're going to combine it with some underlying large databases that we have. So we know things about all the cities where you're going to work. So what is the human population there? That's going to impact some of the ecosystem services. More people around to do things like breathe cleaner air, you're going to get higher benefits. Where's your city located? So what's your latitude? That's going to control how long your growing season is. That's going to control how long you have leaves on your deciduous trees. All of that impacts those ecosystem services. So we have a database that includes that city data. We also have a pollution database. So if we're going to estimate the air pollution benefits of your trees, we need to know what the local amounts of pollution are where you're working. So we have a database that has actual hourly pollution data. That's going to be about 8,000 measurements for a calendar year. We have those throughout all the locations where iTree works. We also have hourly weather data. So we need to know how much rainfall you're getting if we're going to talk about things like stormwater mitigation from trees. We also need to know how much sunlight, how much wind. That also impacts things like air pollution. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But all these things in light blue here, they feed into what we call our location database. And all that location data is in the background of iTree. So we've got all these weather stations, all these pollution stations, all this city data, and we have it for every hour of a calendar year, for a number of different years that you can select from, all going on in the background of iTree Eco. Beyond that, we also have a species database. The species database has individual species information for over 8,000 different species, so we can start to estimate different benefits for different tree species. So again, we're not providing you with kind of generalized results about the benefits of trees. We're providing you with results specific to your location and your trees. Once we have all that information in iTree, and again, everything in light blue, you don't necessarily need to provide. We do have ways that you can get You can update some of that data if we have out-of-date data, or you can provide us with something like a new species, and we can talk a little bit about that in coming weeks. But for the most part, all of those things in light blue are going on in the background, and you never need to worry about providing any of that information. And from there, we can start to do that, estimate the structure. What are your trees doing out on the landscape? What are their sizes? How much leaf surface area do they have? And then we can estimate those core ecosystem services that Anna mentioned. And again, these are just the selected ecosystem services where we feel like we have good defensible models, and we can put a monetary value on that. And going one step further, we can even forecast those benefits, forecast that structure and the benefits that are going to be provided by those trees into the future. And that, again, all of this goes in iTree Eco, but it all makes it down into our other sort of easier and more accessible tools. So just again, to reinforce this idea of iTree Eco as kind of providing the engine that drives all of these things, we actually have something in the background that we call the iTree engine, and it drives all of our individual tree tools. So we have MyTree, iTree planting, and iTree design. These are all going to be based on the individual tree estimates that we get out of iTree Eco, but they're much simpler to work with. So I'll actually go through MyTree. That's our simplest individual tree tool. I'll show you that real quick, just so you can get a quick grasp of what that looks like. But all of these are going to be based off of iTree Eco. And these three tools, MyTree, planting, and design, those are actually the tools we'll do hands-on demonstrations of next week. So if you're interested in those easier to use, web-based tools that are still based on that science of iTree Eco, come back next week for those. And then we have our top-down tools. So this is going to be iTree Canopy and iTree Landscape, and the really simple to use our trees, which we'll cover later as well. But these are also based on iTree Eco. Essentially what we do is we run iTree Eco at the county level, sort of a simplified version of iTree Eco. And then we come up with multipliers based on per unit area. So per square meter or per acre of tree canopy cover, what benefits can you expect for your county? So again, you're getting localized results from those tools, again, all coming back to iTree Eco. So what goes on in iTree Eco is really what's driving all the other tools. And we always get questions about, how do I pick which tool to use? And we're always trying to come up with different ways to sort of present this. So this is just one other way that I wanted to present how these tools relate to each other, and how you may want to start to think about which ones you're going to use. So down the bottom here, all the ones closer to the left are going to be our easiest to use tools. So that MyTree, planting, and iTree design, they're colored brown here, the titles, because they're our bottom-up tools where you measure individual trees. We're going to cover those next week. Those are all on the easier to use end, but you'll see that there is a bit of variability between how the tools are used and the different results they can provide. But then we get into our kind of more difficult to use tools. They take a little more time to use. We are going to walk through those. We'll take a whole session on iTree Canopy. We'll do a whole session on iTree Landscape. Those are both top-down tools, estimating tree canopy or doing some mapping of tree canopy. And then finally, our flagship iTree Eco tool. We'll do that in our 5th session towards the end, but we're going to do individual sessions on those more challenging to use ones. But with that kind of adding in more information and more detail, you get more flexibility in the results and how you can apply these tools. So hopefully this, if you're kind of new to iTree, may give you an idea of where you want to start and, thinking about the flexibility of the results and how you may want to apply these tools where you may want to end up or what sessions you may want to attend out of the Academy here. So I just want to do a little bit of a deep dive into one of the ecosystem services, kind of the science behind one of the ecosystem services in iTree. Again, just to sort of orient you to what's going on in the background of iTree. And next week, we'll start at a much higher level on how to apply these tools. But I think it does really help to understand what's going on underneath before we start to dig into how to use the tools. So I'm going to stick with just one of our ecosystem services, so just that air pollution benefit, and this is how we go ahead and estimate that. So at a minimum, you need to provide tree DBH and species, and if that's all the information you provide, within iTree, we're going to go ahead and estimate things like the crown width, things like the tree height. You don't need to worry about exactly what these equations are. I just put these in to show you that there are equations going on in the background. So if you provide us with just your tree DBH, if this was a red maple here and you wanted to estimate its air pollution benefits, iTree is going to go ahead and estimate the height of that tree using one of our species-specific equations that we have in that iTree database. So in this case, it's going to estimate that my 18-inch diameter red maple is about 70 feet tall. So we'll go ahead and do that to get the structure of this tree. And for the purpose of air pollution benefits, the thing that really drives those benefits is how much leaf surface area we have. So when we talk about leaf surface area, we're talking about taking all the leaves off this red maple. If we lay them all on the ground and measure the square footage or how many square meters of leaf surface area we have, that's what really interacts with the atmosphere, interacts with air pollution. So that's what drives those benefits. So that's what we're trying to get at. So once we have these crown measurements, we can estimate how much crown surface area we have. And then we've got another set of equations that are going to change that crown surface area into our estimate of leaf area. So again, I'm not providing these equations so that you can write them down. These are going to be specific to your species, and things like growing season, all sorts of things like that are also going to come into play. But this is the kind of science that's going on in the background to estimate the leaf area of every single tree you enter into one of the iTree tools. So for this red maple, if you're playing along at home, you could go ahead and make a guess for this 18-inch tree, 18-inch diameter. What do you think iTree might say for how much leaf surface area we have if we laid all those leaves out next to each other? And in this case, if we put all that through our equations, we come up with about 5,800 square feet of leaf surface area for that tree. So that's going to be the surface. That's the structure of that tree that we're going to use to estimate the benefits related to air pollution. So we can look at this for other species. So you can start to think about things like eastern white pine or honey locust or northern red oak. And, if you wanted to take a guess at which of these is going to have the most leaf surface area, I think this picture kind of gives it away because you can sort of see through these tree crowns. But if we were going to say these same diameter trees of different species and we put them through iTree, that northern red oak is going to provide us with the most leaf surface area. So it's probably going to provide the most air pollution removal benefits. Then our white pine is up there pretty well too, and our honey locust. It's important to remember with the white pine, it's evergreen, so it's going to keep those needles all year round. So it's going to provide benefits when the northern red oak and the honey locust actually don't have any leaves on them and aren't providing benefits. And all that's going to be taken into account within iTree Eco. So that's how we've gotten to our structure. So next we're going to estimate the function. How does that leaf surface area interact with our air pollution? And there's two ways it does it. It can do gas exchange, so that's taking in some of our air pollutants through pores in the leaves, or deposition. So things like particulate matter, that's the fine soot and dust that falls out of the atmosphere, really causes a lot of health problems. That's going to fall out on the leaf surface area. So the crown of a tree really acts kind of like a sponge. It's got a ton of leaf surface area, so it can collect a lot of that particulate matter through that deposition. That's all going to interact with the weather data. So if it gets real windy, then that particulate matter is going to blow back up into the atmosphere. If it gets calm, it's going to fall out on the leaves. If we get rain, it's going to be washed out of the system. So that's how we estimate that particulate matter. So we have to know how much there is in the air. So we have our hourly pollution data. We have to know how it's interacting with weather. So we have our hourly weather data. And then we have that leaf area data and what days of the year that leaf area is actually on the tree. So all of that goes into estimating that how much things like particulate matter are we taking out of the atmosphere from that one tree over the course of a year. We can see this. We actually have some projects in iTree Eco. This is for Grand Rapids, Michigan, taking all their trees combined and how it's removing that particulate matter, that PM 2.5, through the course of a year. And you can sort of see when we have leaves off in the early and late months of the year, we're not removing as much air pollution, at least to that particulate matter. So these are the types of results that we can get based on the function of those trees. And finally, we want to put a monetary value on it. And the way we do monetary value for air pollution removal is we use the EPA's BenMap model. And this BenMap model takes census data, so how many people are around to breathe that cleaner air. So we know we've reduced that particulate matter in the air. How many people are benefiting from that cleaner air? And what is the value of the health outcomes, the improved health outcomes that they have? So we need local census data. We need to know how many people are there to breathe the cleaner air. And we also have population distribution. We know that older folks and younger folks have more health problems related to poor quality air. So knowing how many of those we have in the population is also going to affect those benefits. And then finally, we put on kind of the health outcomes, things like increased asthma exacerbations or hospital admissions or lost work days. What's the value of each one of those things that we've reduced by reducing our air pollution? So that's how we get from measuring your single tree to putting a dollar value on the pollution removal benefits of that tree out there in the landscape. So there's a whole lot of science going on there. That's kind of as quick as I can talk about it. But hopefully it gives you an idea of what's going on under the hood in iTree, so that maybe you have a little more confidence to explain this when you come up with these results and want to share them with other folks. So just some kind of unique features of the iTree science, things to keep in mind as we work through these tools, is to remember that these results are local. So we are using local air pollution data. We are using local weather data. We know when leaf on and leaf off is in your location. They're species specific. So if you put in different species, you're going to get different results. And they're specific to your tree in your location. And just know that these are powered by really large databases. We've got a lot of information all around the globe to provide those local results. Again, these are consistent and comparable across locations. So the iTree tool works everywhere in the US. iTree Eco works everywhere around the world, and MyTree does as well. And this research is continuously updated. So you're going to see new results. If you come back sometime down the road, the ecosystem service science has changed. We're going to incorporate that change science and get you more precise benefit estimates for your trees in your location. We do have lots of things that can help you understand the science. One of those is our Understanding iTree document. So this is up on the web. We just updated it for 2023, and Alexis Ellis, who was on the call, had a hand in helping with that update. If you want to see this, we will put all our slides up on the Academy webpage with all these links, so you can get to it there. Or if you just search for Understanding iTree, you'll find it through a Google search as well. So I really did a deep dive into the science, but I don't want to make iTree seem really hard. So I just want to real quickly show you our easiest tool, and then I'm going to hand it over to Krista in a minute to wrap us up. But our easiest to use individual tree tool is called MyTree. This is intended, it was designed to be used in a cell phone. We see lots of folks using it, especially in classrooms with young kids. It's really nice to use in that respect. I'm going to do just a real quick demo here, but we're going to dive into it in a little more detail next week. But I just want to make sure no one's overwhelmed with the science, and that you know that we do try and distill this science into easy to use tools that anyone can access. So I'm just going to pop this open in my web browser. If you want to give MyTree a try, it is on our homepage, www.itreetools.org. MyTree right down here, or you can go directly to mytree.itreetools.org. And I'm just going to resize my window so it looks a little bit more like our cell phone shape here. And we'll see how this works. I'll go ahead and click on Get Started. And I've used MyTree a number of times here, so I can delete my previous work. But I'm going to use a tree near my office in Philadelphia. So it just wants to know where I am. Again, it's going to pull that local data to give me localized estimates. And so once I type in my address here, it will zoom to my location. And indeed, that's our office building there. And I'm going to stick with a tree. It's actually in the shadow here out front, but there's an American elm, relatively young one, planted out front here. So I'll just click on that location. And next, I'll describe my tree. As I mentioned before, anytime you use the individual tree tools, you're going to have to provide some information about species and DBH. There are some sort of default things here that you can select from if you know your leaf shape and type, but I know this is an American elm, so I'll just start typing that and pick that from our tree list here. Condition, I'm going to say that tree is in good condition, and we'll go through this a little slower and in a little more detail next week as well. And that DBH, that diameter at 4.5 feet, is 4 inches. So it's a pretty small tree still. It's in partial shade. So again, since we're getting partial shade, we're not going to grow quite as fast. And I'm going to skip this related to a building. That would get us the energy effects, but I'm going to skip it for this week, and we'll do that a little more next week. So I click on Add More Trees or Get Results, and I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I have a network error. That's not great. I think I might be trying to do too many things at once here. Yeah, it seems like it's not going to give me tree benefits here for that tree at the moment, but it is going to look just like this tree benefits tag here. So it actually will tell you those benefits. I mentioned before, we can project these over time. So over the next 20 years, it's going to project out the benefits of that tree. This case, this was a larger tree. This was a willow oak that was 18 inches. But you can see over the next 20 years, it's going to provide $1,700 worth of benefits. And it gives us the carbon uptake, the energy use, air pollution removal, all those core ecosystem services that Anna talked about back in the beginning. So sorry I couldn't get to the results here. I think it might be because I'm trying to run MyTree at the same time that I'm trying to present here. So it's just using a little too much bandwidth on my end. But we'll walk through that again in more detail next week. But it really is that easy to just enter in tree information for just a few minutes to get to tree ecosystem service estimates with all that science that I went through working in the background. So with that, Krista, I'll go ahead and stop sharing if you just want to share your screen and some of the other resources that people can get to get started using iTree.
Oh, you bet. Thanks, Jason. And we've already had folks asking such a great set of questions. This is exactly what we love that you guys bring to these academies. You guys are thinking about the right things, and you're thinking about your individual locations and how to make this happen where you are. What we want to make sure that you come away with today is at least an example of some of the easiest ways that you can go ahead and find some applicable resources on our website. As you continue to have questions, always feel free to reach out to us if you can't find things or if you heard something today and you want to learn more. That email address is your friend. But there is a wide array of resources and references available on the iTree website that includes a page with our most frequently asked questions. And I do have the address for that posted down here, as well as, we might be able to, I should have thrown that in the chat earlier, but we also have overviews for each of the tools. We've already had some people asking about how to locate things like different manuals and guides. But also, there are links on our website to let you know how to get support, how to link to video learning if you want to see some snippets or longer form videos about how to use the tools. There are field manuals that can help you with some how-to information for when you're out in the field, as well as concepts for things like you guys have already brought up in the chat. What happens if something has been trimmed for power lines? What are we, looking for when we talk about crown light exposure? So there are also methodology documents. Anna posted in the chat the Understanding iTree manual. Again, that is something that is your friend. That is our most comprehensive summary document for iTree and the tools and how it's creating the results that you can see. So if you also poke around the website, there is also content from other locations, examples of what others have done with their iTree results, and how folks have put their results out into the world. So, and as always, there is our YouTube channel, which is where you will find a lot of those videos, but also the recordings for all of these sessions.